This is the Data Privacy Detective. Today we're going to talk about cookies and why we ought to really rename them as collectors, which is what they are in a digital world. But let's start with a nautical term, the command to stop or cease. Avast, avast ye matey. Used by sailors, the word avast derives from the Dutch words houd vast, hold fast, or stop. But if you do a web search for Avast, you'll pop up one of the world's largest companies that offers antivirus software. Avast is its name. And you'll get an immediate offer to acquire free antivirus software to protect you against malware and ransomware and other terrible attacks on your computers and digital devices. Avast claims a global community of almost 500 million people who use its services at free and premium paid levels. So what does Avast have to do with data privacy and cookies? Really, collectors. Well, here's the story. Avast started in Prague in 1988. Prague is where my grandmother was born. It's now the Czech Republic. It built a huge following in Europe. Avast did. It offered free malware protection to build the customer base, with premium level offering, add-ons like a VPN and other upgrades, and it became a hugely profitable company. It eventually sold to Norton for $8 billion in 2022. Closed in 2023, I believe. It hit a major speed bump a couple years earlier. In January 2020, it was discovered that this cybersecurity company was collecting and sharing information about users on websites to its own subsidiary called JumpShot. JumpShot sold a massive database of highly personal information about Avast customers. What sites they visited, how long they lingered on sites, their personal preferences online, all about the digital life of millions of people. JumpShot then offered its customers this personal information for a price, promising, quote, every search, comma, every click, close quote, of more than 400 million customers. And it did that without getting express consent of its users. Well, that created an uproar. Avast promptly shut down JumpShot and promised to atone for its violation of European data privacy rules, the GDPR, the most privacy-centric of government regulation. And after 3 years of investigation, Avast was fined by the Czech Office of Data Protection 13.7 million euros, about $15 million, for selling private browsing data without user knowledge or authorization. Well, to this day, in 2024, privacy advocates remember this betrayal of user privacy rights. Safety Detectives, which is a digital services rating site, stopped recommending Avast and an associated product, AVG, on January 4, 2024, because of this reputational loss. Even though up until then, Safety Detectives gave the offering high ratings for its ability to detect and block malware. Well, this is a key insight into a tension that exists between privacy and profit. Avast's free offering isn't really free, you see. It's really based on a freemium model. That's in between a free product and a paid product. A subscriber to the free or unpaid service was giving up control over the individual's personal information in exchange for a service that it didn't have to pay for. Avast was making money by selling the personal information to third parties and otherwise using the data with advertisers willing to pay for the data. Well, I bought new computers in January 2024, and I found a pop-up ad for Avast. The ad started with this, quote, "You're 200% more likely to be stolen from online than in person," close quote. Well, that gets your attention. And it invited me to sign up now for a free online security program joining 9 million other U.S. customers. A vast description on Google Chrome's web store promises, quote, "We'll check every site you visit from Facebook to your bank, so nothing puts you or your data at risk," close quote. Well, current rating groups put Avast about on par with Norton in offering very highly rated anti-malware protection of major offerings on the market. But protecting against malware is only one part of protecting your personal privacy. The dark or underappreciated side is what happens when a digital provider shares and sells highly sensitive personal information about us to third parties, often advertisers, who then send us unsolicited ads. Well, our privacy is not simply protection against theft. Privacy includes protection against being besieged by internet ads, by forcing us to spend time scrubbing unwanted email from unknown people. An attack on your time is an attack on your privacy. Privacy includes not being profiled by third parties that we never approved to have or to use our information. So I reviewed Avast's premium offer in February 2024. It promised cookies, which I now have renamed to be collectors. Does Avast promise not to share or sell my information to collectors if I subscribe to its free offering? No. Instead, it asked me to allow all cookies, meaning all collectors, even those I've never heard of, unless I click further and elect which cookies or collectors I will allow to be used. Now, the default settings are not privacy by design. The default settings allow Avast to share and sell all of my browsing information. Well, here were the choices that I could make. First, I cannot decline what Avast calls necessary cookies, which will always be active. These are not defined in detail, but presumably are those that are literally required to operate the website. So Avast will collect my browsing details. It will be a collector. And I'll have to trust that Avast will keep its promises if I turn off other cookie or collector settings. So I would need to turn off, if I want to, easy to do it was, collectors called preference cookies. Now these, I was told, are things that have to do with preferred language and the country I live in, I'm told. And Avast warns that if I turn off this choice, it will affect or can affect the functionality and the settings of websites. Well, I can also choose to turn off performance cookies or collectors. Those, Avast tells me, will help improve its website, help it improve the Avast website by analyzing how viewers use and interact with it. Well, I can turn off marketing cookies or collectors. Now, these are the ones that lead me, if I don't turn this off, to getting personalized in the ads that are pushed to me by Avast ad partners, where it makes money, based on what AI thinks I want to see. Now, these would allow me to be targeted. So to have a profile of me created and shared with other unnamed and unknown parties if I don't turn this off. And it would include social media cookies. These are set by advertisers to enable sharing content with friends and neighbors. Now, let's say I have a cancer diagnosis. Or what if I'm a woman considering my pregnancy options? Do I really want my internet searches about things like that shared with friends and family to an extent that I haven't decided? Well, you can see how turning off the default choices are very important before signing up for what is called a free product that will keep me safe. Now, whether you want to sign up for a malware service is a good question. You should start by checking what you already may have from Microsoft or Google or wherever you have your basic data infrastructure set. Retired tech instructor Andy White commented recently that acquiring Avast paid service is, quote, a complete waste of money, close quote, as he observed that Windows has a 100% kill rate of malware attackers. If you do want to acquire additional malware protection, there are numerous companies that offer it, including Avast, which is rated highly against its major competition. Its major competitor is Norton Lifelike. But Avast, matey, hold fast. Norton bought Avast for $8 billion about a year and some ago, and now both are owned by Symantec. So I wonder what will happen when a so-called free service competes head-to-head with a paid service that are both owned by the same company. And what will happen to all that browsing data that Avast will collect about me? Data has enormous value, and if you've given yours away to a third company, you have paid for the service. In that sense, it wasn't free at all. Well, you see why I don't like the word cookies used in this sense. Let's stop using that term. Let's use the word collectors. If you want to keep with the cookie idea, if you're gluten intolerant, you would decline the offering of a wheat-based cookie, wouldn't you? Well, on the internet, think the same way. There's some cookies, or collectors, as I've renamed them, that you might accept, but others that you will for sure turn off. Otherwise, there may be a very severe allergic reaction, or worse. Well, if you do subscribe to Avast or any other digital provider, think about your privacy choices. Make those choices about privacy settings that fit what you want for your personal protection. Don't sign up for allowing providers to sell or share your data to anybody unless you want your digital experience to be quite public, unless you want to lose control of your personal browsing data. Take a minute to turn off default privacy settings pushed by as collectors or cookies by companies whose profits may depend on your allowing them to share and sell your personal information. That's your choice. And dear listeners, that's why I close this podcast with the same advice as I close every one. Remember, protecting your personal privacy begins with you.